everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning and welcome to Trusting Top Talent. I believe number 8 in our series now that of webinars presented by the Inside View. We've really taken this time during the pandemic to be able to offer our business community some great value. And this continued to be a topic that's come up over time and time again is how do we attract top talent? How do we trust top talent? How do we keep them? And really, how do we onboard and retain top talent every single time we bring someone on our team. So I'm super excited to share this information with you today. I'm also delighted about having our guest on. So thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate you spending the hour with us. So we've got a jam-packed hour planned for you. And so before we dive right into things, I want to celebrate CX Day with you. And I want to thank you so much for being here. For those of you in the customer experience community, you know that today's a big day. October 6th is, it's actually not October 6th, it's actually always the first Tuesday in the month of October where we celebrate all things customer experience. We celebrate our successes in the industry. We celebrate our customers. We celebrate our employees. And it's really, you know, it's a really proud day for us as CX professionals because the industry is so growing. And so we take the day across the globe to celebrate this. So I appreciate you taking the time on CX Day to be with us. It's also exciting. We've got a slew of things lined up for the whole month. We're celebrating CX Day the entire month of October. This is also Customer Service Week. So it's like Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter all wrapped up into one. We've got lots to celebrate this month. And so we've got, like I said, a jam-packed month. So stay tuned to see all the other great things that we're doing. So in the next hour, we want to make sure that we're giving you high level of value. We want to make sure we're maximizing your time. But our goal is to be able to allow you, our goal is to be able to give you some really, really great tools. And we want to be able to give you some tools on how to attract top talent, how to hire top talent, how to train, and how to keep top talent, because those are challenges that we all face on a daily basis when it comes to, you know, managing and leading your teams. And so we want you to be able to, you know, attract the right people with the right service mindset. And so for that, you know, we've designed a program, the Inside View. We've designed a program that we're super, super thrilled about and very proud of. It's called the CX Mastery Program. And the idea with the program is it sets a foundation of customer experience excellence within your organization. So we dive into your vision and how your vision needs to be practiced on a daily basis with your entire team. We talk about leadership and what a leader's role really is in your environment. We talk about cultivating cultures of success. We talk about journey mapping and hiring and keeping top talent. We talk about sales and service mastery. We talk about coaching confidence. And so all these elements are really those core competencies, that core foundation to be able to create customer experience excellence within your organization. And so when I think of these 7 core principles that we teach in our mastery program, you know, we really wanted to dive into one specific today. And so today we're talking about all things trusting top talent, because we believe, you know, especially during this pandemic, our teams have really been able to take us to places we might not have been able to go on our own. And so there's a high level of importance that we want to be able to put on getting the right people, keeping them engaged, and keeping them loyal, right? So I couldn't be more thrilled to introduce you to my guest today. My guest today is Paula Gilbert, and Paula comes from us with over 25 years, very seasoned in customer service. Paula was with the famous players as well as Marriott. She's been with national retailers like Best Buy and Target at an executive level. She's been able to drive phenomenal business results, but always because of her ability to build strong teams. And she now has the opportunity to share her unique approach to HR in her perspective with all levels of the organization at Sobeys, as well as other organizations across Canada. So Paula Gilbert's joining us today as a Director of HR with Sobeys. Super thrilled to have you, Paula. And for those of you who don't know myself, my name is Crystal DeCuna. I'm the Customer Experience Officer at the Inside View. People say I have a PhD in people skills. I've had the opportunity of working within the Disney Institute, Tony Robbins and John Maxwell. And again, had the opportunity to really lead some award-winning teams when it comes to customer experience. My passion is really sales and service. I love to be able to improve somebody's life with the product or service that we're selling. I believe that helping is the new selling, and we've been able to build some multi-million-dollar sales teams across Canada, and now just getting into our global markets as well. I come from, again, retail, but also a heavy importance in the construction industry. I've had an opportunity to spend some really good time in that industry and really loved it. And then our program is now recognized globally, Customer Experience Mastery. You know, COVID's given us the opportunity to make the world our playground, and so we're really thrilled for that. And I am definitely a football mom, so any given Sunday you'll find me on the football field with a few pom-poms. You know, pre-COVID for sure. Post-COVID, football looks a little bit different, but excited to be here with you all today. So listen, over the years, we've had an opportunity to do a lot of things right, both Paula and I. You know, as we were preparing for today's session, we chatted, hey, like, what do we do? You know, what have we done really, really right? And so when it comes to hiring and keeping teams, you know, we've built award-winning teams. We've been able to promote people to achieve phenomenal successes within organizations. We've celebrated with our teams. We've increased employee engagement scores and customer satisfaction scores and employee retention scores. So, you know, with the strategic approach just a little bit different, we've been able to see solid business results. But listen, over the years, we've also, you know, had an opportunity to do a couple of things wrong, and we've learned from those. I always say, you know, we failed forward, we fail fast, and we fail famously, because we want to be able to share those challenges that we've done, because they're going to teach us how to be better and do better. So, you know, has anybody ever hired too quickly? That's something that's happened, right? Hired based on recommendation, but maybe not vetting the person to see if they're the right fit for the job and they have the right behaviors that are going to help us with that result. Perhaps we've hired the same way everybody else is hiring. You know, everybody posts a job back in the day when it was posting in the paper, or posting right now on some of the social platforms. You know, do we just do what everybody else is doing? Or do we're looking for top talent, we got to attract that top talent, right? Little to no onboarding. If anybody's ever worked in the retail or restaurant industry, you know how that is. Very minimal onboarding, right? It's, hey, welcome. Here's your apron, or here's your name tag. Let's get on the floor. And so, you know, definitely not necessarily setting people up for success in that way. You know, we've been in environments where there's been no coaching or no structure to really build loyalty. And so when we've done a lot of things right, we've done a lot of things wrong. And there's a few things after doing this for many years that both Paula and I have been able to really learn. And those things, you know, we discovered that, you know, attracting top talent takes being a little bit different, being unique and creative. Hiring top talent, my friends, takes planning, right? It's this design approach as opposed to just hiring them because we need to fill a position. Training top talent takes time. And in order to really be able to onboard them properly and make sure that we're giving them all the tools they need to be super successful, it does take time. And so, you know, in this COVID world, we can carve out time for our people. If we carve out time for the right things, we know it's going to pay tenfold. And then keeping top talent. How do we make sure that our team stays loyal? Because remember, you know, the unfortunate reality is hiring and training costs a lot of money to organizations. And we want to make sure that if we're hiring people, we're doing it right. We're doing it right the first time. You know, ultimately though, customer and employee excellence and experience happens by design and not by default. So those organizations that have been around for 10, 20 years, you know, and have been doing the same thing and have been doing the process and it's not broken, I get it. It may not be broken, but what I would challenge you to do is take a look at how you can kind of get ahead of that curve, right? We don't want that blockbuster Netflix experience to be happening. People are being innovative, and so we encourage all businesses to be innovative when it comes to their people, because their people, that the people industry is what's going to keep them going. It doesn't matter how much automation you have, the people that run the business are really the ones that are going to that need your support. And so it needs time. And so what we've learned over, you know, a lot of discovery the hard way, you're going to learn on this webinar today. So we're going to share some really best practices. And so, you know, as I dive into this, I'd love to know some of the challenges that you faced right now when it comes to hiring top talent. So go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll come back to it in a little bit. But we'd love to hear some of the challenges that you face when it comes to top talent. So without further ado, let me dive right into to my guest today, Paula. And Paula, I'd love to hear a little bit about how you've been able to attract top talent within your career over the last few years. So thank you so much for being here, and I'd love to hear from you.
Always had a pool of people that we were constantly meeting, and it allowed us to plan for vacancies and allowed us to bring people in that we could train, because much like you, certainly it's not construction, it's retail, so very, very different skill sets required. But because we were able to get in front of the vacancies, we were able to hire the right people and put some time in to invest in them. So I'm not sure if that's something that you can do. I'm not sure where your locations are, but it'd be interesting to see if you could set up a program where you're just constantly talking to people and being able to find those people who are interested in a temporary stint in a remote location, because they're out there.
They're out there. Mm-hmm.
Enough of them. You need to talk to, it might be 1 in every 10 that's interested. You just need to be able to talk to them. So it's about making yourself available. When I think about both my customer facing and then my professional positions that we were hired for, one of the cool things we recently did was we had a brand new department called Innovation and Strategy. And innovation is very much big data focused. You know, I needed to hire data scientists. I needed to hire machine learning engineers, something that was very different for the Sobeys environment. And so again, you know, scratching my head, how am I going to do this? So we did a couple of things. One is on LinkedIn, my recruiter actually threw out a very complicated data question and asked people to solve it. So that was kind of neat. We got some interesting people who wrote back and were able to answer this complicated question. And then we were able to probe in those people to say, hey, would you be interested in coming and talking to Sobeys about positions in our advanced analytics department? So we were able to identify people that way. The other way that we did it is LinkedIn is a fantastic tool. LinkedIn actually has, if you're not familiar, they have a tool called LinkedIn Recruiter. You purchase that recruiter seat. Allows you to put in profiles and skills that you're looking for, and it'll flag profiles of people that are similar to what you're looking for. So we were able to put in some profile characteristics that we wanted. We got a pool of people that we were interested in after reading about them in a little more detail, and we invited them to join, you know, a little cocktail party for an hour to come and think about Sobeys as one of those cool digital advanced analytics up and coming. You know, we need to be seen along the same lines of a Shopify or Google. So they were able to see our downtown location. They were able to meet some of our leaders, and they're able to think of us now more than just a grocer, but kind of this really cool up and coming place that they can use their advanced analytics skills. So those are a couple of things that we have done to attract some top talent.
That's fantastic, Paula. And I think it's so important, you know, when we're talking about top talent, I always say, like, we're looking for the best of the best, right? Mm-hmm. Yet we put out these job descriptions that are just like everybody else, right? So we put out the job descriptions that are very black and white, or very, and we typically, you know, a lot of organizations take the same approach. And so, oops, I'm going the wrong way here. So a couple of things I put together, and based on kind of what you're talking about, is, you know, attracting top talent takes creativity. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see just a little job description that we had put together for a challenging position. So this is a painting company that we were working with years ago. And, you know, if you look at the compensation at the time, it was, you know, $12 an hour. It was a very, you know, it's a door-to-door type of sales position, and we were trying to attract the right people, and it was really challenging. We weren't able to really attract So we revamped the job description. Again, we were trying to look for motivated individuals. We wanted to get people that were ready to go. We also changed the locations on where we posted. At the time, Indeed was kind of just coming up, but we posted on Kijiji, and we posted on different Facebook groups. We posted in student groups. And again, when you see a job description like this, you know, you're a little bit more, again, that was for our ideal client. Our ideal client at that point was, or our ideal candidate was a student, right, in university. And so something like this was just a little more exciting, a little more different versus your typical job description where it's like, you know, black and white, this is your roles, this is your responsibilities. Now, we've used the same approach with C-suite executives, right? Because when you're looking for top talent's going to be attracted to something that looks different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's more exciting. So I think it's really important to get creative in where we're approaching things, and how we're approaching them. So, you know, when I look at the retail world, you know, now there's so many different ways we can use Instagram, we can use Facebook, we can use stories. And it's not just posting, it's getting your best customers to give you the best people, right? Some of our best clients will make our best staff and our best team members. When then I put my construction hat on and you know, having hired phenomenal sales teams in the home building world, you know, it was really about making sure that I was attracting top talent, because I was going to places where they were kind of socializing, whether it was online or live or real. And I was planting these seeds. Actually, one of my best sales associates, I remember walking into a Subway one day, and she just made my sub with like such care. And she was 21, and she was like making the perfect sub. She actually cared about the sub. And so I went a couple days, I think 3 or 4 days you know, over the course of a couple weeks. And I got to know her, and I saw that she really outshined everybody. And we took her from working 20 hours at Subway to making 6 figures selling homes. And it was literally just because of her approach, right? She had the behaviors that we were looking for. We were looking for that top talent. Now, did she have fear to come into construction industry? Absolutely. Right. But it took me really kind of paying attention to where she was and her behaviors, and then giving her we didn't start right away in the sales part of it. We slowly built her up to there. But I'd say within 2 to 3 years, she was making well over 6 figures. So, and it was because of that kind of finding them and posting them in unique places. I actually posted the job. I printed it off. I posted it in the Subway, so it was right in front of her face, because I wanted to see how she felt about it. Right. And your job description should be fascinating. So as I show you this one with a little bit of color in it, think about your world. Does it just pop out of the page? If you are choosing to use, you know, those platforms like Indeed or LinkedIn, how can you make it pop? Whether it's the words you're using or the look of the post itself, right? And now Rick mentioned, you know, he's in a remote place. Well, people are going to be attracted to certain beautiful things about living in a remote place. So many people are working from home nowadays. So can your job description finesse working in a remote place so that it's kind of exciting? It's literally attracting those people that want that lifestyle, right? That want that unique selling proposition that you might have. Asking for a video resume. This is a great one that has allowed us to really be able to see people's behaviors. So a lot of the times when we post something, post a job description, for example, it's, you know, you might get hundreds of resumes. Who knows what you're getting, but sometimes you get an abundance of resumes and you're like, okay, now I got to filter through this. Well, we started taking the approach a few years ago of saying, okay, we posted on social and we put the job description in, and then we said, we'd love for you to send us a 60-second video on why you believe this would be the best role for you. And so what you're seeing in that video, you're seeing their behaviors, right? So you're seeing, are they planning the video? Are they doing it in a casual clothing? Are they making an effort to present it? And right away you go from these hundreds of resumes down to like 10, 20 people. That's top talent right there. Those are people that are actually excited to work for you, and that have taken the 60 seconds. Chances are they've taken 10 hours or a couple hours to plan that 60 seconds, right? But they're making an effort. And you're also learning if that they're comfortable using the technology tools, which we all know that we need today, right? So if you're trying, depending on the industry, I work with a lot of SaaS organizations, software as a sales, and in their world, incorporating technology is really, really important. So perhaps in that video, you can get them to do a little something, incorporate a little more technology in that little 60 seconds. Then if you believe that they're ready for the next level, you can respond the same way, but remembering that top talent wants uniqueness. They want to be challenged, right? So if you're looking for the best in that industry, and again, this can go from frontline teams to executive level. They want to be challenged. They have that attitude and the mindset that they want to be challenged. So, so do your best to try to challenge them. And so, Paula, as I kind of go into the next stage of it, we're talking about loyalty. So, okay, we've got the great people. How do we create that loyalty within our teams?
Yeah, and that's really interesting, right? And I find, I often go back to hires a few months later, and I'll ask them, "Is it everything that we told you it would be?" Because we're selling our organization, and we need to know, because that's how we have loyalty. Is if the values of our company are aligned with our employees' values, they will stay. Feel they are valued, they will stay. If they feel they understand how their role in the organization is helping the organization deliver on what those corporate goals are, they will stay. So, we need to be transparent. When I was with Best Buy, this is one of the things I loved at store level. At the end of every month, when we got our P&L statement in, we shared our results. We celebrated our successes if we hit our sales goals and profit goals, and if we didn't, as a team, we would reflect on it and say, what are we going to do better next time, right? It's connecting the dots so they can feel that my job has value. I'm doing something that's worthwhile. And I'm part of this. I'm part of the success. It's like that old story about the janitor at NASA when someone said to him, "What do you do here?" And he says, "I send people to the moon." Because he recognized that while his job was doing this task, ultimately, this is what they did at NASA. And he felt that he was part of that. So for me, that's the connection is we bring them in. We explain the business, we make them understand their value, and then they will stay. And then on top of that, I guess people are always aspiring to do more and learn more and be more. So, understand what their goals are. There was many people in my past who joined retail as a way to get through university, who ultimately saw it as a profession because they loved the organization, they loved what we stood for, and then they saw the opportunity that was there for them, whether it was moving up in the retail side of the organization or moving over to the corporate side and perhaps supporting up a corporate function. But again, it's helping them get to whatever their goals are under, potentially your organization's umbrella.
No, that's great. You talk about retail. I was one of those. I started in retail at 16, and I started with a company called Danier Leather, and I was in university, and I just really love leather, and I was starting to learn a little bit of the business, and I spent 15 years with them and traveled the country with them, and had an opportunity to travel really all over the place and build stores and hire unique teams. But it was loyalty because, well, they gave me loyalty. For them, it was this foundation of culture. They did everything in their power to really create a culture. And when I say the word culture, I think of like a family culture, right? And so it was this, they made a conscious effort to design a culture that cultivated success and that cultivated loyalty. And so, that's one of our things that we talk about in the foundation part of it is culture is such an important part, right? To be able to do that. But as we're hiring top talent, I think about a couple things that we used to do, and we still do with organizations to be able to, again, hire the best. And one of the things is a team candidate list. This is something that I sit with owners of organizations all the time, and they say, Crystal, I'm just trying to find the right person. Well, then I flip it back on them and I said, well, you've got a leadership team of 7. I said, every one of your leadership team should be bringing you 3 to 5 names. It can't all be on you, right? You want to attract people to the right culture. Well, your team is the right team right now, and they're going to have that circle of friends or that pool of friends that really is like-minded, right? And so they should be bringing 3 to 5 top talent or people that would be qualified for that role. And I think a lot of it, it's very easy for people to just put their hands up and say, oh, I don't really know anybody for that position. But if you take a moment and make it part of their accountability as a leadership team to say, hey, we need 3 to 5 names, so that they're going out and looking, right? So it's not just one person going out and looking, it's everybody going out and looking. When I say out physically, I mean also socially, online or wherever the case may be, but they're holding themselves accountable to add to the culture, to add top talent to that culture. So that was a tool that worked phenomenally for us in retail and in construction was, hey guys, bring 3 to 5 names to the table every month, right? Every month when we're talking about talent, this is what we need. So so your industry might be different. You might have a different hiring process, but really think about whether you're hiring people or not, whether you need people or not, still bring those names to the tent, to the meeting, because you want to be able to build that bench strength, as we talked about earlier, right? You have to have a good bench of people. And so we created this 10-step interview process. And so people will say to me, oh my gosh, 10 steps, that's so much work. Like, I just want to find a person, I want to interview them, maybe test them a little and bring them on board. And hey, I totally understand. But this is an opportunity for you to plan. And this is an opportunity for us to press the reset button and hire differently. If you hire the same way you've always hired, you will get the same results. And maybe those are great, and maybe they're not so great in today's world. And so this approach that we've taken with organizations is, create that exciting job description, attraction marketing, just the way you would maybe spend some money on marketing your product or your service, maybe spend some money on attracting the top talent via Facebook or Instagram or whatever your social platform is, or whatever the marketing tools that you use. You're marketing to them as well, just like you would be marketing to a customer. Then we go through the screening process, which is, a quick phone interview, but we're phone interviewing to analyze behaviors. So how are they answering the phone? Are they getting back to you? Are they responding? Then we book, then we invite them to a career day. So it's around, the Ritz-Carlton does this really, really well, is people are chosen to work for us, right? So it's not that, I have a job interview. It's no, you've been selected. You've been selected to join us at a career day. And so we'd be delighted for you to come and join us at this career day, and here are the details, right? And so all of a sudden, you've now put yourself in a position of power, as opposed to your, the talent being in the power. You're now the one saying, hey, listen, we saw something in you, whether it was your video resume, whether it was your actual resume, whatever the case may be. But we've chosen you, and we'd love for you to come to this career day. And the career day, again, whether it's virtual or in person, we set up unique games depending on your business. We'll set up a couple of interactive games, but we're looking for those behaviors, right? If you're building a house, there's a behavior that you need to have, that can-do attitude, that problem solving, that critical thinking, that risk management, all those tools. So we incorporate a lot of that within that career day, so we can start to see the behaviors. We want to be able to see people 2 to 3 times before you actually hire them. And I totally get that sometimes we need a warm body to fill a spot. But I tell you, when you do it right, they'll stay for life, right? There's that loyalty there, and you'll be so much better off when you're able to do it right. Just looking in here. So there's a process that, if you want more information on this, I can definitely share it with you. But, plan out the process that would work best for you. The exact same way you plan your customer experience and your customer journey is the same way you want to be planning your employee journey. Put that customer lens on, because they're attracted to people that are going to put the effort in, right? Top talent is not attracted to a business that's doing what everybody else is doing. Top talent's attracted to a business that's setting themselves apart. And so that kind of takes me to my next point, is that top talent takes time. Again, so you want to be able to do a lot of these things in advance before they come. And so this is, a lot of the times when somebody hires somebody, they might give them an orientation binder. Paula, have you ever done that? Welcome, here's an orientation, read through this. Back in the day, that was definitely something that was done. And so one of the organizations we worked with, we created an exciting magazine. We wanted to make it exciting and fascinating for their team. And so once they've gone through this vigorous process, right? So we've gotten 100 resumes coming in, and only maybe 10 have sent us the video, and then 8 show up to the career day. And then now we've narrowed it down to like our top 3. And then maybe we hire 2 and we only needed 1 because it was so good, right? Because there were such great candidates. And so we want to make it exciting for them. We want them to realize that, hey, you have been accepted. You top talent have been invited. Like, you have beat out the rest. You are top talent. You are exceptional. And so we want to be able to make it fun for them. And so as opposed to, you know, that typical first day where somebody might give you an orientation book and take you for a little walk through the store, the location, we create a magazine. And this magazine, along with perhaps business cards and some other exciting swag that you might be able to put together, was shipped to the person 3 days before they started. So again, creating those Instagrammable moments, that excitement for people before they even got there, right? So we created a box, we did their name tag, we did their shirt, we did their business cards, we did this magazine. And so in the magazine, we talked about, you know, the dress code, the confidentiality, what your first 21 days are going to look like. And so all of a sudden it became this unique approach where they were excited to get to work before they even got to work, right? They even got to, in the magazine, we have like a directory in there with everybody's names, everybody's faces, so they know who's who when they get in there. And so their first order of business before they come to work is to write what they would like their blurb to be in the magazine. So in the next magazine, they'll be a part of it. So again, you're creating some loyalty there because they're already super thrilled to be with the organization. The other thing is you want to be able to give them your best. So, you know, I've heard so many times, well, I don't want to order business cards and I don't want to order a shirt with their name on it until I know that they're staying. And I'm like, my friend, you've invested so much with them already. And if you've gotten the right people, then those $20 business cards are worth it. You know, the impact that that's going to make for them to receive those gifts in advance is astronomical because it creates that loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And then also you want to align their expectations. I think this is really important. A lot of organizations, you know, leadership will have certain level of expectation, but then the employee has a different level of expectation. So an employee might say something like, oh, I see, you know, Johnny said that they get a bonus every year, a Christmas bonus every year. Well, you know, we're in COVID and maybe this year people are, you know, things are different. They're not getting that same amount, or maybe it's related to results. And so all of a sudden these alignment of expectations start to shift. And so it's really important to be able to get clear, and a tool like a magazine will allow you to kind of create some clarity. Listen, when people have clarity, they have confidence, right? And when they're clear on when they're getting paid and how they're getting paid and all that jazz, they're confident and they're committed. So Paula, anything you'd like to add to this?
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, that was really awesome. And listening to you, I've just gotten inspired and got some new ideas myself. But I think it is, to your point, you've gone through all this effort to hire the right people. We can't forget about those 90 days that happen once they get on board.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't, sometimes they don't know who to ask, like you said, whether it's about salary or vacation or benefits, and being able to outfit them with something like a directory in the magazine is such a wonderful starting place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it just empowers them. So I love this idea, but nothing further to add. That was awesome.
Yeah, no. And I even go further as to say, like, what's your first day look like? What's your first 21 days look like? What's your first 63 days? Like, I'll go off tangent again, just creating some uniqueness, right? So, and building them along the way. And when I do those day set aparts, what I do is I make sure that it's a two-way conversation. So, hey, at the 60-day mark, this is where you should be, or what you will have learned. And this is my commitment to you at the 60 days, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a two-way street because they want that commitment back. And again, I meet with a lot of leadership teams, a lot of leaders through organizations. And, you know, they say, well, Crystal, I don't have time to babysit. I don't have time to kind of do all that. My friend, like, your people are your biggest asset, right? So your people, if you can invest in your people, you got to invest in your people so your people invest in the business, right? Mm-hmm. And it takes that time and that effort. So, yeah. So what is your best advice that you can share when it comes to onboarding, Paul? I know you've had an opportunity to onboard clients or candidates at multiple different types of industries. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, what have you learned when it comes to onboarding? What would you say is your best advice?
That it ultimately starts the minute they put the resume in, and whether that's online and the online experience and did it work Was there some technical problems? Like, was it easy? Or to, physically dropping off a resume, that person that accepted their resume, were they thanked for dropping it off? Did they say someone will get back to them? Like, what did that look like? Because you are already starting to form that employee-employer relationship right at that moment. And their level of engagement, is starting. You want them to be excited, right? I always say we've done a really great job with onboarding, that even if we've declined the candidate, they said, I love this experience so much, I'm going to apply again next time, or I'm definitely going to continue to shop at your store, because that's what we want to hear, that we've treated them well and with respect. And it's like, darn, I didn't get it, but I'm going to try again. Right. So it's that whole process. And then again, as we've just talked about, is don't forget, orientation is so much, or onboarding is so much more than just the orientation. That it's everything after that. It's making sure that perhaps it's the buddy system. Who do they go to? They know who their contacts are, and they are feeling that they understand what their role is and what the expectations are. So it is a long process, but as you said, we have to invest in them, because that's how they'll know what's expected, and then that's how they'll know what they're working towards. Otherwise, it's the waters are muddied. There's too much speculation as what is good performance and what is not, and then it just creates a more complicated relationship down the road.
Mm-hmm. No, I love it. And the other thing you just brought up, I was thinking of, often organizations are hiring from within. So for example, you've got a person that's been in the organization for 5 or 6 years, and they're ready to move to the next level, and they're ready to move to the next level. I want you to keep in mind that you want to be onboarding people at every level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at every level, there's a different level of expectation. And that's where I bring that design element to it. Is it happening by default right now that you're hiring people and, hey, they've been at the company this many years, so they just, they're next in line for that promotion, and then they're next in line for the next promotion, and it kind of just happens through succession. But maybe they're not really the right people to lead. Perhaps they've never really wanted to lead people before. And being a leader means that you have to do a certain level of inspiring and a certain level of motivating. And maybe that's not what they signed up for, right? So I think when you're onboarding, it's very, very important to say, okay, well, at every level of the organization, as people are successing to the next level, they should be just as excited. They should receive a new type of onboarding guide and a new type of, a welcome package to say, hey, we're so excited. I'm taking a bit from my friend and mentor, Elmira Cruzin, who's worked with Roots Canada, and she did some phenomenal things. And at every level of promotion, she made it the most exciting possible promotion possible, And again, it doesn't take time or money. It just takes effort and thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the onboarding throughout is, I think, really important. And then keeping top talent. So, as I round things out, keeping top talent takes design. And so there's a lot of tools. We've done a whole webinar on employee journey mapping, so I won't get too into it. But, mapping that employee journey the same way you would map a customer journey is really critical as well. So, we map the emotional experience of what a customer goes through before they even meet your brand, while they purchase your home or your product, and then after they leave. That's a really critical thing to do in business in today's world, is to map that journey, that emotional experience they're going on. But when you put your employee lens on, it's equally as important. Where are they 6 months before you want to hire them? Right? Where is that employee? What are they doing? Are they employed? Are they not employed? Where are they? Are they in school? And then that first 6 months with you, what does that experience look like? And then the next 5 or 6 years, what does that look like? And so I'll tell you a quick story about a large national bank. I had a close friend who worked at a large national bank, almost 30 years with the bank. And she gets this catalog, and the catalog is like, okay, congratulations. And she gets a letter saying, congratulations, you're hitting the 30-year mark. Please go ahead and select from this section of the catalog now. Right? So like every 10 years, they get a certain section that they get to select from. And while that might have been great 20 years ago, how does that feel now? Right? After putting 30 years of your life with an organization that you've committed to, they send you a catalog and say, now you get to pick from this section. And I mean, I don't know about you, but like for me, I would be like, I would much rather, somebody come in and maybe take me for lunch and celebrate my successes, or it's that time, right? And it might not even cost as much money. So they might be choosing from the $500 section where they get to pick a $500 watch or whatever the case may be. But instead, you could spend a lot less money, but make it more impactful for that person, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to align with the money. It's really about understanding the journey that your employee is going on. So I just put an example here of, something, somebody loves to barbecue or they love to grill. Maybe it's something, customizable. There's a great app that I use. It's called Giftagram, and Giftagram allows you to send gifts without knowing the person's address. And so you can put in Giftagram. It's a little app. You can pick a customized gift. You can write a note. They get a text message that says, hey, Nikazi, really appreciated your time, and that gift might align really well with what just happened in their world. So maybe they've got kids, and they're on the soccer field, and so you buy them a soccer ball. Again, it doesn't align with the business. It aligns with what's important for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really critical, because so often we'll print off lots of branded materials, and we've got branded golf shirts and branded hats, and maybe a gift card from our particular organization. And although that stuff is great, that's not about them. That's about you, right? And so we want to be able to flip the script and design experiences for them that are customized and that they appreciate. So just put that lens on if you can, that, no longer is it good enough to say, hey, good job, you've made it to 10 years. How are we really celebrating them, and what's exciting for them? All right. So I feel like I've talked your ears off, my friend. So I'd love to hear some of your top takeaways. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. I'd love to kind of hear what you've taken away. I've got a couple people on the call today, and so I'd love to hear. Go ahead and you can unmute yourself, maybe some top takeaways that you think might resonate with your organization. Go ahead, and is there anybody, or should I pick on people? Lawrence, are you there? My friend Lawrence, are you there? No? Okay. Nikazi, I see you unmuted yourself, my friend. What did you take away? Any good tips that you might be able to use in your world?
Yeah, I think probably the idea of the magazine, that idea, and even the the giftagram that you were talking about. Mm-hmm. That's a really good one. But yeah, I thought that was really neat, the magazine, and just sending it beforehand. I thought that was unique. I've never heard of that. With a person's business cards, and it makes them feel, yeah. It would certainly make me feel really good before I even went there.
Yeah. And with today's world, when people are working from home, even more an opportunity for us to maybe send them like a whiteboard and some markers and maybe a cup, and like some really fun things to create, a really great work at home environment. There's an organization that we did some consulting with where, they had a nice comfortable budget. And so they made sure that everybody got, comfortable chairs, because they're all working from home now, and everybody got a couple of interesting things in their desk workspace that allowed them to work better in their home. Yeah. And we even went so much into it is we found out what colors were suited for that room, so that their chair actually matched the color of their room. So it wasn't just a black chair. So we really, those customized approaches make somebody feel really good, right?
Yeah.
Ali, are you there? I don't know who the bottom person is here, 416 number, but I don't have a name. Do I have a but you're welcome to chime in. If not, I'm going to pick on Rick. Rick, what did you, first of all, I have to comment on your great suit, Rick. Really, really great look. Any takeaways from the construction world?
No, I think it comes down to respecting people, and if you treat people like you want to be treated, eventually, you're going to be successful. That's for sure. But I actually, Paula was talking about the onboarding, and then Paula, you spoke about how, even if they're not successful in the candidate position, that you're still doing the onboarding. So that was a little different for me. And again, I remember in my young career, being recruited by the Holiday Inn and working there and going through that onboarding process. And it wasn't until you mentioned that I realized that there was about 4 or 5 other candidates that had gone through the same process but were not successful, but they actually were onboarded. So that was something that I've like I said, I didn't realize it until you mentioned it. And I think you're absolutely right? You just want to create the raving fans. You want to create, you want to, like you said, differentiate yourself from the group. Sometimes it is difficult. Like you said, at one point in time, we were interviewing, 10 people for a position to get one person that might not work out. And especially in construction, because like I said, there's certain skill sets. It's hard work, very rewarding, and well-paying jobs. But at the end of the day, there are some other barriers that you have to sort of go through. So that was something that I kind of took away from this, the whole thing of, if you onboard them properly throughout the process, like you said, you may be creating more for yourself in the industry. So that was one thing that I took. Thanks again very much for your time. I appreciate you guys sharing with us.
My pleasure. Rick, I got to share with you a quick little construction interview skill that I had done once. We were trying to test the challenge, the risk management and the critical thinking nature of the business. And so actually we put together this activity where candidates had, and this was something totally new to the construction world. The guys thought we were a little bit crazy, but we did it. We made them build birdhouses. And so we gave them some parameters on, what they were allowed to use and so on and so forth. And there was 5 gentlemen, and I tell you, the testosterone that came out was quite fun to watch. But they had to build these birdhouses, and it was really just fun, and it allowed you to kind of see how people are going to think a little bit differently. That was just one of many of the testing tools that we kind of used as we actually hired 3 candidates, and we only had 1 position, but they were so great that we made room for them, and we made it work. So I think a lot of it is about testing a different skill in a different way, and sometimes that can be challenging, but super rewarding as well. Awesome. So any other points, my friends? All right, so we're going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for your time. Let me just share my screen here with you guys. Perfect. So as we're wrapping up, again, if you're looking for some help in a specific area, we're delighted to help. We love the idea of trusting top talent because that really is a foundation for hiring really great people. But if you've got questions about CX mastery and need help in a specific area of your business, we're here for you. And so feel free to connect with us outside of here. The recording of today's webinar with a couple of links, we're going to probably add the Giftagram link as well, is going to be in our CX Solutions Facebook group. Noah's also going to put the link to the survey. We've got a survey that's going out, so he's going to put the link, Noah, in the chat, or perhaps in an email. You'll get it either way. So we'd love your feedback, because we're going to continue to do these webinars for the next little while. We've done 8 of them so far, and they've gone really well. And so we really hope that, if you need to reference anything, you just join us in the CX Solutions Facebook group, and it is in there. And I was going to go through questions, but I think we kind of have answered. Any questions? Awesome. So our next webinar is going to be October 15th, where we're talking about coaching confidence. And we're talking about that, how do you build a team, especially people that have maybe been with your organization for a long time? How do you continue to coach them up and coach confidence? And then later on in October, I believe it's October 22nd, we also have an exciting webinar on cultivating a culture of success. And that is with our guest, Keith White, who's the Vice President of Walmart. And so save that date as well, October 22nd, and we'll send that out in an email following this webinar. But we've got some great guests, and so we're super excited that we've been able to do these. And so without further ado, Paula, thank you. My guest, thank you so much for giving us your time. And everybody else that's joined us, thank you. We appreciate you, and we welcome your feedback. So please feel free to complete the survey. Let us know what you thought, and stay connected with us. So we'll see y'all soon, and have a great CX day. Thank you, everyone.